Thank you all for joining me today. I sincerely appreciate when something I've put out there as far as a title for these episodes, I really intended to at least pique your interest. Again, you have no idea who I am, why I do this, where I've come from, and what gives me the interest in presenting these topics on resilience. In light of that, even the title for today's episode, INSTRUCTURE. I know, that's not even an actual word. But maybe it piqued your attention and say, he must have either misspelled this, he meant instruction, he meant infrastructure. No, it's not an actual word, but I did put it there for a reason. I usually refer to our common quality, even though we've never met. I often refer to our common quality as the resilience, an essential common connection to our unique yet connected infrastructures. And I'm saying that resilience and that approach to resilience is where I'm saying my beauty and from where your beauty emanates. That infrastructure. Yes, that desire, discipline, drive, beauty, present. That's where it emanates from. That's the infrastructure I'm mentioning to you. Infrastructure, not INSTRUCTURE. So go with me on this for a few moments so I can try and tie this in together. Even though I feel quite satisfied and happy to refer to my and your inner workings, what's inside of your body, but I'm also trying to go a little bit deeper into and referencing our spiritual heartbeat and essence. And that baseline should help you to define those other infrastructure words in the dialogue about resilience. Like I said before, desire, discipline, and drive. I guess you could see that outline, those words, and those suggestions as just guidance. Or you could see it as maybe a stretch. See it as instruction from me if you would like to implement this practice and presuming you would like to consider changing your perspective on this moment. I know you could be thinking instruction from this guy on his 820 podcast. He's going to give me instructions. Now I'm not going to do that, man. I get it. That sounds like a reasonable reaction and response from someone who doesn't know me. Even those who do know me probably have a very similar response to me. And that is a driving factor for my introduction of this new term, INSTRUCTURE. INSTRUCTURE. I promise to tie this together in our last few moments here today on this discussion. As I mentioned, I have an affinity to that word infrastructure, and from a personal and shared personal perspective. But this new term, INSTRUCTURE, to me, actually puts that view into myself into a different light and lens. It is my INSTRUCTURE. It is your INSTRUCTURE. How you leverage and activate from your own definitions, not the ones I share with you, your definitions. Instructing yourself by refreshing and refining and revising your approaches to this thing called life. And with the other connecting tissue within you and amongst us, even miles and continents apart. This is you taking the reins and responsibility and accountability to educate yourself. Let me stay there for a moment. But to educare yourself. Remember, the term educate and educare comes from the Latin term educare, which means to draw out from within. Educare, to draw out from within. I have shared with you many, many questions and not so many answers in this journey with resilience. Look at those low-level examples from me as guidelines, suggestions, maybe loose-level instructions, but definitely a demonstration of the sharing of my INSTRUCTURE, my activated and daily refresh actions to measure and assess my best in this day. Not intending to give you more words, definitions, nuances, Ming-isms about this thing called resilience. However, I do sincerely want to share with you how, like a better term, how I see this world of resilience. How I see how you and I can live freely and openly in this world called resilience. Not as a choice. It's a quality we already have inside of us individually, uniquely, yet at the same time, it brings us together. It brings us peace. It mitigates the conflicts that we all will have, no matter what happens during the day. Even with myself, I'm going to have these things. Definitely with others, if I've not taken the time to not structure anything, be open and awareness to the exposure that's already inside of me, and then to bring it out. As I said in the book itself, good to have models and steps to getting there. I think it was 5 steps to resilience. But all the things that I mentioned about getting there, getting here, is great inside of my studio or in my room, but you got to take that outside. It's got to be exercised. It's got to be tested. It's got to make contact with the enemy. And as a prelude to another episode coming up called The Enemy Gets a Vote, I will bring that into context in that episode. But even the enemy within myself, me fighting against myself, that's another part or instance of the enemy appearing on this path. So, same way, this INSTRUCTURE is drawing up from me, not to instruct myself, but putting more substance behind that infrastructure, which is called the INSTRUCTURE. And you have it too. Stay present. Stay current. No matter where you are in this world, it is always 820.